Dear aspirants, in the previous videos I have discussed about what is meaning of anthropology and the scope of anthropology. So in another video I have discussed about the socio-cultural anthropology. Today we will discuss about the what is biological anthropology, branches, archaeological anthropology and its branches, and linguistic anthropology. And what are the uniqueness of anthropology? So today we will discuss about these aspects. So first one is biological anthropology. The origin of the physical anthropology. Next one is biological anthropology today. Including the subdisciplines. Next one is what is archaeological anthropology? And branches. So then we will discuss about the linguistic anthropology and branches. So what are the approaches in anthropology? What is uniqueness of the anthropology? So next one is relevance of anthropology. Or contributions of anthropology. So today we will discuss these aspects. So first we will discuss about the what is biological anthropology. So here the term physical anthropology is older term. So what is physical anthropology? According to Lasker, physical anthropology is the study of human evolution and the human variation. So whereas even this biological anthropology is a new term, it embraces both physical anthropology and human biology. So this is the meaning, this is the definition of physical anthropology. Coming to the human biology, what are the human biological aspects? Human genetics, growth and development, adaptations, demographic, and even health and disease also, even forensic aspects also. So biological anthropology is the study of both physical anthropology and human biology. So this is the meaning of biological anthropology. So physical anthropology is confined to only certain studies, that is primatology, human evolution, and raciology. So this is the difference between the physical or biological anthropology, depending on the scope of the subject. That is, in earlier research works are called physical, including biology is that is both, it includes both biology and human biology. So now we will discuss about the origin of physical anthropology. The writings of physical anthropology can be traced to the even this 18th century. In the 18th century, some medical doctors, for example, Blumenbach, by profession he was a medical doctor. He studied human variation and he studied skeleton also, dentition, hair, skin also. In 1775, he had given the racial classification basing on the physical characteristics and the geographical features. That's why he is considered to be father of physical anthropology. Blumenbach. So even after Blumenbach, even James Pitchard, he worked on the physical anthropological works. He published researches into the physical history of the mankind, the natural history of the man. So this is contributions of the James Pritchard. Afterwards, Paul Broca. In 19th century, he worked on the craniometry. So afterwards, even this 1875, even up to 1930s, he worked on the Franz Bayes, for example. He was a Columbia University appointed him as a professor. So afterwards, he did a lot of work. He worked in the even 4 fields of anthropology. So he collected, he measured even Inuit children. He studied Inuit skeleton also. He worked on the differentiation between the even race, language, and culture also. He was expert in the 4 fields of anthropology. Franz Bayes was expert in the, even his students like Kroeber also. So afterwards, he was one of the responsible for the professionalizing of the physical anthropology discipline also. So afterwards, Alice Hrdlicka, he was responsible for the founder of the American physical, the Journal of the American Physical Anthropology. He was the founder of Journal of the American Physical Anthropology. In 1918. In 1930s, he founded the Anthropological Association of Physical Anthropology also. So its contribution is very, very important in physical anthropology. Afterwards, E.A. Houghton, he was academic celebrity at Harvard University. He trained many physical anthropologists also. So even afterwards, even this Washburn, Sherwood, he was very important figure in physical anthropology, because in Houghton Almanus, he coined the term new physical anthropology. New physical anthropology. The term new physical anthropology was coined by Washburn in 1951. So there are many. What is the importance of this new physical anthropology? Earlier, physical anthropological works are confined to the only racial classification, even measurements only. But this Washburn recommended to shift from those works to the even study of evolution and process of evolution. So as a result of this new physical anthropology, primatology and paleoanthropology emerged. So in the new physical anthropology, even this physical anthropology scholars worked on even primate behavior and ecology even in natural environments and also in the lab experiments. For example, Goodall. So this is the origin of the physical anthropology. So what is biological anthropology today? Biological anthropologists have been studying even these adaptations also, even molecular anthropology also, even they have been studying for last 1 decade, 2 decades. They are focusing more on even this human genome project also, even ancient DNA works in the even fossils also. So the scope of the global scope of the biological anthropology has increased. They are studying they have been studying even the adaptations also, forensic aspects also. They are collaborating with the even other this forensic science people also. Even they are collaborating with the even this human rights organizations also. The scope has increased nowadays, even in biological anthropology. So now even they are raising the questions regarding the ethics of biological anthropology in their research. So this is the recent the scope of the biological anthropology. Now we will discuss about the what are the subdisciplines in the biological anthropology. We will discuss. So first first branch is primatology, anthropometry, paleoanthropology, raceology, human genetics, axiology, human ecology, medical anthropology, nutritional anthropology, demographic anthropology, applied biological anthropology. Applied biological anthropology. So the primatological studies began in physical anthropology in late 1950s. What is primatology? Primatology is the study of non-human primates, monkeys and apes. So primatologists study what are the characteristics of the primates and classification, and also old and new monkeys. What are the difference between the apes and the humans also? So this is all, even this their behavior also and ecology. So even they deal with the human primate genetics also. So this is the branch of this primatology. Anthropometry means it is a technique for measuring the human beings. So paleoanthropology, paleo means ancient. So deals with the ancient people, especially deals with the human evolution through fossils. Who were our distant ancestors? Who is our direct ancestor to the modern humans? Who are the Neanderthals and Denisovans? So these all come under the paleoanthropology. Paleoanthropology in biological anthropology focuses on the establishing the taxonomic and phylogenetic relations between the fossils and primates. So the very important thing is here, they establish the relationships between the taxonomic, phylogenetic relations between the fossils and primates. Taxonomic means classificatory. So phylogenetic means evolutionary relationships between the fossils and the primates. So this is also very largest discipline. Raciology means raciology deals with the different races of the human beings who belong to the Homo sapiens. So here depending on the even skin color, etc. So human genetics. Actually it is called anthropological genetics. Actually we should call anthropological genetics. Why? There are some difference between the human genetics and anthropological genetics also. What is human genetics? Human genetics is the study of gene structure and action and the process of mechanism of this inheritance of the traits from the parents to the offsprings. So human genetics can be studied even as per your syllabus can be studied at 3 angles. One is Mendelian genetics, population this molecular genetics, and population genetics. So Mendelian genetics deals with the law of dominance and ratio also. You might have studied at 10th class level also. So here molecular genetics mainly deals with the DNA structure, function, even protein synthesis, even this human genome. So even genomic studies in biological anthropology. So this is a very emerging field now. So here population genetics means genetics of the changes of the different gene frequencies among the different population. So from examination point of view also this population genetics is also very important and recent trends in molecular genetics also. So next one is archaeology. Archaeology means that the study of growth and development of the human beings. So what are the different stages of human life cycle? For example, infant, children, even adolescence, even adulthood, even aging and sentience. What are the factors affecting on the growth and development? What are the methods involved in measuring the human growth and development also? So this is also very important field. Actually, Tanner and even Bogin also worked a lot of work in this field. Archaeology means growth and development, human growth and development. Human ecology, it deals with the adaptations. It is also biocultural perspective. So especially how man adapts to the environment, that is a very important thing. When they are in cold, when they are in desert, when they are in high altitude, how do they adapt? So here also both the cultural and the biological factors affecting on the even this in ecological anthropology, especially the people who are at the high altitude, there are some it exerts on their physiological responses also. So for example, they affect on even their brain also, even lungs also, even heart also. So even this the people who are living at the high altitude, they face the problem of even this miscarriages, prematurity, infant mortality rate is very high and low birth weight also. So they are facing that problems who are living in the high altitude. Suppose for example, the people, for example, Eskimos who are living in the Arctic region, they face the problem of this cold also. So even they construct temporary snow shelters also, that is called igloo. So this igloos helps a lot to them to produce some heat also. Even this ice itself is insulated and also surface of that house helps to keep the heat also. So in this way they protect from the cold. So this is the human adaptations. Next one is medical anthropology. Medical anthropology deals with the health and disease from the point of anthropological point of view. There are two important approaches involved in the medical anthropology. One is ethnomedicine, and other one is biomedical anthropology. So on the one hand, especially this is also biocultural perspective. So here the cultural anthropologists study the what is the concept of health and disease from the people's point of view. How do they classify it? How do they cure the diseases also? But on the other hand, even biological anthropologists examine or look at what are the genetical and environmental factors affecting on the even this health and disease also. So here, as per your syllabus, epidemiological anthropology is there. Actually, what is epidemiology? The pattern of diseases and causes of diseases is called epidemiology. So actually, this is multidisciplinary. So the biomedical means biological anthropologists, whoever study the health and disease, they are biomedical anthropologists. So even this, they employ more statistical data from the epidemiology also. They borrowed methods and goals from the epidemiology discipline also. So what is epidemiological transition? That is also a very important concept in epidemiological anthropology. So the change of the patterns in disease, that is called epidemiological transition. For example, nowadays increase of non-infectious diseases and decline of infectious diseases. So that trend is called epidemiological transition. Even Omron developed some epidemiological transition models also. So another important discipline is even this biological anthropologists conduct nutritional surveys also. They study the interaction between the dietary components and cultural aspects also, and related diseases also. Demographic anthropology means here, this is also biocultural perspective. This demographic anthropology also. Demographic anthropology mainly deals with the composition and size and distribution of the populations. So generally they take three measurements. One is fertility, mortality, and migrations. So this is also a very important field in the biological anthropology. It is also biocultural perspective. What is biological anthropology? Applied biological anthropology is the application of the biological anthropological concepts, methods, and theories to solve the problems. That is applied biological anthropology. So, for example, if you look at even this during the World War, applied physical anthropologists involved in even measuring this gun turrets, even aeroplane cockpits also. So this anthropometric data is very useful in the even measuring the gun turrets and aeroplane cockpits also. Very recently, for the last 10 years, 15 years, anthropometric data is useful in the even biometric security also, because these handprints are preserved in the computer also. So that in that way, this even another important field in the area of in the applied biological anthropology is forensic anthropology. It is the largest discipline in applied biological anthropology. So here they study the remains of the osteology of the human beings, especially for the purpose of solving the even problems like even crimes also, under personal identity also. So generally this forensic anthropologists collaborate with the even this law enforcement officers, medical doctors, examiners, even military also, international human rights organizations also. So this is the of course anthropology of sports and other areas also included in the applied biological anthropology. So this is the overall the subdiscipline of this discipline of biological anthropology. Now we will come to the archaeological anthropology. So literally, archaeology means the study of antiquity and of the past people. So what is archaeological anthropology? Archaeological anthropology is the scientific study to deal with the material remains of the past people, of past people life, such activities such as even this pottery implements, artifacts also. So here this like subfields of other subfields of anthropology, archaeological anthropology, modern archaeological anthropology developed in 19th century. So now we will discuss about what are the branches involved in the archaeological anthropology. The first sub-area is prehistoric archaeology. Archaeological anthropology. Next one is historical archaeology. So next one is classical archaeology. Another one is industrial archaeology. Next one is underwater archaeology. So another important is here ethnoarchaeology. So another one is contract archaeology. So what is prehistoric archaeology or prehistory? Archaeologist studies the cultures before the development of the written records, that is prehistory. So historical archaeology means it deals with the people's past culture after the development of the written records. Classical means they deal with the civilizations of ancient Greece, Rome and Egypt also. That comes under the classical. Industrial means historical archaeology focuses on the industries, factories and facilities also. That is industrial archaeology. It is I borrowed from the Marion Harris book, Cultural Anthropology. So even biblical archaeology is also there. That whoever classical archaeologists study the Old Testaments also. Underwater archaeology mainly deals with the submerged sites and shipwrecks also. So ethnoarchaeology, it is emerging from the 1970s also. Now it is a growing field. It deals with the ethnography of the past people. So initially they focused more on the foraging society or hunter-gatherer societies. Now they have been studying the different aspects of the human behavior also. Contract archaeology means it is a very important applied aspect. Contract archaeology conducts surveys for the environmental impact statements, and it protects the even prehistoric and historic sites also. So these are overall the branches of archaeological anthropology. So prehistoric archaeology, historical, classical, industrial, underwater archaeology, ethnoarchaeology and contract archaeology. Now we will come to the even linguistic. The last fourth sub-discipline is linguistic anthropology. We see what are the branches there, what are the research areas, what is scope, we will see. Next one is linguistic anthropology. Linguistic anthropology deals with the languages in socio-cultural perspective. So here, until 1950s, it is called anthropological linguistics. There are three important paradigms involved in the linguistic anthropology. One is anthropological linguistics. Another one is linguistic anthropology. Second paradigm is linguistic anthropology. Duranti, he published a book on linguistic anthropology. It is published by Columbia University, Cambridge University. So it is mentioned what is the growth of this linguistic anthropology in brief. So here, mid 1950s started. So then anthropological issues studied by using the linguistic tools also. For example, social identity. For last 2 decades, linguistic anthropologists have been studying this third paradigm. Though these 3 paradigms developed chronologically, even today also they are still alive. Still they are doing these 3 paradigms. So here, what is the difference between the anthropological linguistics and the linguistic anthropology means here, anthropological linguistics recording the documentation of the languages. Here theoretical aspects of language is linguistic anthropology. So that is the difference between this. Of course, this is earlier studies also. Anthropological linguistics. What are the difference between the anthropological linguistics? Anthropological linguistics focused more on the documentation of the languages. Here they deal with the theoretical aspects of the languages. This is the difference between these two. Now we will see what are the branches in the linguistic anthropology. One is historical linguistics. Descriptive linguistics, ethno-linguistics, socio-linguistics, and applied linguistic anthropology. So what is historical linguistics? Historical linguistics deals with the emergence of the languages in particular, and a particular language how diverged over a period of time. That is historical linguistics. Coming to the descriptive linguistics means it deals with the meaning of the words and grammar also. Especially this area is very useful in the comparing the even dictionaries and preparation of the grammars for the unwritten languages. Ethno-linguistics means it is study of relation between the language and culture. The ethno-linguistics explore how the language categories affect on the people, how they think, how they perceive around the world. So here, socio-linguistics means it deals with the relations between the language and social relations. It focuses on how the particular social class affect on the dialect, how he speaks. For example, if you take one, while you are talking with your roommate, your linguistic style is different. While talking with your grandparents, your linguistic style is different. While you are going for interview or while talking with your director, your linguistic style is entirely different. So it mainly deals with the situational uses of the languages also. So here, applied linguistics means mainly deals with it has applications in teaching the deaf and even speech therapy also. It plays a vital role in even preserving even the endangered languages also, including the tribal languages. So this is overall picture of this linguistic anthropology. So now we will discuss about what are the approaches, what is uniqueness of the discipline anthropology. So here there are many approaches are there. The first one is biocultural approach. Biocultural approach. Another one is holistic perspective. Or approach. comparative, emic, and etic. So here another one is synchronic and diachronic. Fieldwork approach. What is the uniqueness of the discipline anthropology? In what way anthropology is different from the other disciplines? The first one is biocultural perspective. So in examination, in UPSC examination, in previous question, if you look at the previous question papers, in approaches, one question is asked holistic perspective. So nowadays, you concentrate on the remaining approaches also. So here, what is biocultural approach? Biocultural approach is the hallmark of biological anthropology. It is hallmark of the biological anthropology. Anthropology studies both biology and culture. How we will discuss. So, for example, if you take human evolution, so anthropology studies both biological factors, how biological factors, genetical and environmental factors affecting on the even this human evolution also. At the same time, we see the how the cultural factors affecting on the human evolution also. So even this, for example, how these migrations, diseases, dietary patterns affecting on the even human evolution also. So next one is adaptations. Already we discussed in earlier discipline of that for example hypoxia. Hypoxia is a biological term. How it affects on the physiology of the human beings also. It increases BP, even infant mortality of the children. So in addition to the biological factors, we will see the even cultural factors also. For example, nutritional anthropology is also biocultural perspective. I will explain one example. So actually, for example, if you study the Kond of Andhra Pradesh or Orissa, they don't take milk. There are two factors are involved here. One is cultural, another one is biological also. From cultural point of view, so as soon as they take milk, they vomit because they're taking the cow milk, it is considered as a sin because cow milk is meant for only calf only. So generally humans, women milk is meant for only children only. So they think they have that perception. So if you take milk, it is a sin. So we should not take they think that we should not take the milk. I conducted field work, especially in the late 80s. I worked among even Sauras also. They have also same practice. So from biological point of view, as soon as they take milk, they get vomiting because they lack the enzyme, lactose enzyme deficiency. So these type of studies are conducted by the biological anthropologists. Even cultural anthropologists study even what are the food taboos also. So it affects on the nutrition. So this is biocultural perspective. Even health and disease. So there are two important approaches that while studying the health and disease from anthropological point of view. One is ethnomedicine and another one is biomedical. But nowadays, even biological anthropologists are studying even both. They are taking both biology and cultural aspects. Even the cultural anthropologists look at what is the perception of the particular people's about the concept of this disease. How do they cure? So, what is the role of this witchcraft sorcery in the curation of the diseases? So, what are the herbal medicine they are using? So this is called ethnomedicine. At the same time, even biological anthropologists study what are the genetical factors and what are the environmental factors affecting on the particular disease. So this is biocultural perspective. So what is the holistic approach? Holistic approach is the main theme of the anthropology. What is holistic approach? So if you take economists study the only academic studies only. Sociology scholars study the only social aspects only. Historians study the only historical events only. But whereas anthropology only discipline dealing with all aspects of the humans. What are the all aspects? Even that they study the biology, history, even social aspects, even philosophical, even psychological. Everything they borrowed from the ideas from the other disciplines. The holistic approach combines the ideas of various disciplines. So in the very beginning, from Franz Byers onwards, they are experts in the 4 fields of anthropology. So for example, Franz Byers he studied even cultural anthropology, he studied ethnography of the even this Inuit also, even Quakital society also. Very lengthy ethnographies were published by Franz Byers through fieldwork. At the same time, he measured the even Inuit children also. He studied archaeological and language. He differentiated the concept of race, language, and culture also. So he is expert in the 4 fields of anthropology, even Kroeber also. So according to Kroeber, these 4 fields are described as a sacred bundle. But nowadays, because in those days, those anthropologists studied holistic approach, because the subject of the anthropology is very narrow in those days. Nowadays, there are many specializations. So nowadays, many subfields developed. They are becoming experts in the particular subfield. Suppose I am expert in this development anthropology. Somebody scholar may be expert in the medical anthropology, like that. So nowadays, anthropology discipline have been struggle with to retain this holistic focus. So this nowadays it is called, according to Siegel, it is unwrapped sacred bundle. Now anthropology discipline became unwrapped sacred bundle. So suppose, for example, if we take one example, economy of the society, how anthropologists collect the data. What are the difference between the even economics and anthropologists? So for anthropologists, the study of economic systems is holistic. It is a total cultural system. So they study the both, whereas economists only study the only monetary transactions. So for example, I will give you 100 rupees for a dozen eggs. So in case if I give you 1 kg of rice for a dozen eggs, this is non-monetary transactions. So anthropologists study both this monetary and non-monetary transactions. Anthropologists study how these commodities come, where commodities come, who are producing, what are the parties involved in the exchange, how do they distribute, how do they consume cross-culturally. So what are this social and other factors, even political and religious beliefs influencing on even this economy. So this is a holistic study. Okay. Next one is emic and is comparative approach. Comparative approach is also one of the important approaches in anthropology. So it tries to understand the humanity in detail. So comparative method or comparative approach compares one society with another society, one tradition with another tradition, one society with another society. So for example, Heimdallr works, if you look at, he compared the census of Andhra Pradesh and Vedas of Ceylon. See how he compared. So even this tries to understand the even likeness and differences of the humans to arrive the in order to arrive the generalities of the humanity. So this is the comparative approach. What is emic and ethic approach? Emic means actually Marvin Harris was very famous cultural anthropologist. He wrote The Rise of Anthropology and Theory also. So here he borrowed terms from the linguistics, phonemic and phonetic. So he introduced these terms, emic and ethic, in anthropological literature by the Marvin Harris. What is emic? Emic means to study the society or culture from the native's point of view. That is very, very important. Emic perspective is very, very important. Even it is useful in even providing the data to the planners also. Ethic means anthropologist researcher point of view. Whatever he feels, he collects data. That is ethic perspective. So we'll discuss afterwards in detail about the emic and ethic. Next, synchronic and diachronic approach means synchronic means if we study the society or culture through at one point in time, that is synchronic. Suppose these synchronic studies are dependent on only field work, 1 year field work, that is synchronic approach. So diachronic means if you study the society or culture through time, means it deals with the mainly change process. So that is if you look at the historical perspective for last 50 years, that is now it is that is diachronic studies. Fieldwork approach. This is very important approach in anthropology, because even other social scientists also conduct even for example sociologists also conduct fieldwork, but anthropologists conduct long-term fieldwork. That is very special feature of the anthropology. So here the long-term immersion in the community is fieldwork. In fieldwork, anthropologist applies different tools. Even he applies schedule, questionnaire, interview guide, genealogical method. Yes, but participant observation is a very important method used by the cultural anthropology in the field. What is participant observation? In the previous videos, we have already discussed that credit goes to the Molnovisky. He conducted long-term field work among the Tobrian Islanders. So the anthropologist learns the language, he lives among the people, he observes everything, all life cycle rituals, all agricultural cycles, what are the religious beliefs. So that type of intensive observation is participant observation. So this is we will discuss in the research methodology in detail. What are the field work methods? What are the techniques and methods used by the anthropologists? So we will discuss afterwards. So this is overall picture of this today's lecture. So what is biological anthropology? What is origin of physical anthropology? So what is present? What are the disciplines are emerging in the biological anthropology? Next, what is archaeological anthropology? So what are the branches of archaeological anthropology? Next one is linguistic anthropology. So we have this is the situation. What are the approaches? What is the relevance of anthropology, especially that is also what are the contributions of anthropology to gain wide knowledge of the society. That is very, very useful to study the even this. It is useful to study the cultural similarities and differences also. So we can study the even third world people also with a view to join in the social development sector also. So another one is it helps us to avoid ethnocentric attitude, because what is ethnocentric attitude? So others cultures are inferior, our culture is superior. So that assumption is ethnocentric attitude. But we are cultural relativists. What is cultural relativism? Means all cultures are equal. There is no superior or inferior. So that concept was developed by Franz Bayes. So another one is even this it helps us to understand the ourselves only. So another important thing is it plays a vital role. The contribution of anthropology is very important to solve some society problems like education, agriculture, even rehabilitation, poverty, etc. So these are all contributions of anthropology. So in next video we will discuss about what is the decoding of the syllabus. So if you look at the UPSC syllabus, it seems to be very big, but how to approach the syllabus, what is the preparation strategy, what are the reference books for anthropology optional, we will discuss in the next video. Thank you.